Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon from here, there, and everywhere else. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to another, basically an interview, a discussion with amazing people for the old podcast. And today it's my morning, but I'm joined remotely from beautiful France by my friend Daniel Garnier-Moiroux. How you doing, my friend?
Salut, ça va bien? Very good. You?
Yeah, always good. I mean, it's it's gonna be what is that in non-American units? It's 80 Fahrenheit in Celsius is 26.6. It'll be 26.6
Ooh,
Celsius today
delightful.
in San Francisco. So I've got the windows open, t-shirt, and I've got my bathing suit in case it's time to go swimming. You know, it's
We
the
have
weirdest weather.
can't really see it. We have beautiful weather here, but I prefer the pale glow of the office neon light.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's good for the skin, the LED lights. Um, What's the weather like there? You said, is it good or no?
Oh, beautiful. It's
Oh,
gorgeous.
jealous.
Yeah, well,
Good
but
weather's good
slightly
too, right?
colder than you. Probably only 18 degrees Celsius, which
Well,
is
that's still very nice. I mean,
something
60,
Fahrenheit.
yeah, that's just on the border of t-shirt weather. That's what San Francisco is like most of the year is 65, 70 degrees. But we never get 80. 80 is like, San Francisco, we don't in the summer, it's much colder, believe it or not. I said
Right.
that correctly. And so the normal joke is that the coldest winter I've ever spent was a summer in San Francisco. Right. That's the people say that's Mark Twain, the American humorist. Um, but I saw yesterday somebody said the warmest summer I ever spent was a winter in San Francisco. Because it is
Not
warm and it's
bad.
still technically not spring yet. I think that's tomorrow. Actually, is that tomorrow? I should know this.
It's in
When
two
does
days.
spring
Well,
start?
usually the 21st, but it
Yeah,
varies.
like 2 days from now.
Something like that.
March 20th, according to
Ooh.
ChatGPT, around 2:45 a.m. So tomorrow morning, by the time you wake up, it'll be springtime.
Around 2:45 AM.
Yeah.
Interesting interestingly
Well, Pacific
precise.
time for me.
Okay, fair.
Uh, oh, that's gonna be good. Yeah, that'll be good. So tomorrow, the 20th, is springtime. I should know this, but the problem is for me, it's always springtime, and so
Hey.
who can be bothered with dates? Uh, anyway, my friend, I'm very happy to have dragged you out of your paradise-like weather. I'm
Yeah,
glad
I'll
you
go
could be
back
here with us.
outside for
Um,
for some suntan before
I've been,
I come back in.
by the way, I've been for people on LinkedIn. If you're leaving comments, it's great to see you as well, LinkedIn user. But as you can see, I don't know who is sending the message. It doesn't tell me anything interesting there. So if you could sign your messages on LinkedIn, if you want recognition of a common acquaintance, that would be great. Okay. Anyway, I've been what's the right word? I don't want to say harassing, um, uh, perturbing.
Encouraging, uh,
Yeah, there you
encouraging,
go.
right?
That's the HR approved term. I've been encouraging your progress um, on. Uh, Hold on. I've been encouraging your progress, but on the latest and greatest in the world of uh, Spring AI uh, and security. Right. I think you and I have a common goal, which is um, wait. I just saw a LinkedIn
User.
user. Definitely not the other word. That was
Right,
alliteration.
right.
Uh, I definitely didn't mean that. I meant a winner. um,
Hey.
a LinkedIn user just posted, and I can see their name. What's going on? How come some people I can see and some people I cannot? Whatever. Anyway, I've been encouraging your incredible progress, like a cheerleader, with the pom poms. Yeah, like I've been encouraging your incredible progress on the Spring uh, AI MCP security. Actually, it's Spring AI Community MCP security. So it's like
Correct.
five different um, five different names there. But yeah, that has been. I think you and I both unified, right? If this AI stuff is going to be like real, if because okay, let me try again. I saw that thing last year. Did you see the MIT report talking about why so many different AI projects fail, like 90% of them fail, right?
Ooh, I haven't.
And so this came out last year in 2025, which for those of you watching this interview, it's 2026 as we speak. If you're watching it in like 2050, how's the weather? Is it still nice? So
Skynet has taken over already.
well, I mean, at least it's still just about 2025,
Right.
So I don't believe, as the MIT report basically suggested that that AI solutions and integrations fail because they're not integrations. People are building solutions outside of the normal workflows of the organizations that need them. And so they're interesting, but they're over here, whereas everybody else is taking this path over here, right? And so of course that's going to fail. And the reason I think it's a sort of a cause effect kind of thing. I think my suspicion, my hunch, not the report, my hunch is that they're outside the normal workflows because the normal workflows are built in Java and Spring, but some script kiddie using Python tried to build this thing over here.
Oh, it's not a script kiddie anymore. It's a GPT kiddie now.
I mean, I will forever. As a person who does Python, I'm happy if people understand me to be a script kiddie because it's not really the same thing, right? It doesn't scale to large app levels as a language without significant work. Anyway, there's these solutions over here, which I understand why people thought they might need Python. That's incorrect. They don't need Python for these use cases, but they develop them in Python. So of course they're not integrated. Of course they're not in the normal workflows and the lanes of traffic of the organization. And so okay, over here in the enterprise, in the actual organizational sort of business logic, systems and services, if these things are going to survive, if we're going to integrate AI into these things, well, getting a proof of concept working in Python is not the same thing as getting delivered to production to as many users as you've got at a bank or even a FANG company, right? There's a difference there. And so I think about security. I think about observability. I think about scalability. I think about speed of efficiency, right? I think about actual efficiency, like how much energy does it waste, right? And Python is terrible in all of these, every single one of these numbers. It's not the only place where it's a little bit better is because you don't have the curly brackets, you can save a little bit of code.
Have you seen the MCP benchmark?
Yeah, TM
thing?
DevLab, right? It's disgusting how bad Python and Node are. Both are like two orders of magnitude worse than Java, and Java comes in ahead of even Go, right? In that lab
by a very slim margin, to be fair, but
by
same
margin,
ballpark.
but still. And that by the way was Java 21. I bet if they used Java 26, which just came out yesterday, and by the way, Nihar, thank you for that. Happy Java 26 to you as well, and I'm glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. So if you're using Java 26, that would be even better. I mean, those numbers can only get better with the latest and greatest versions. Remember, Java 21 is 3 years ago, right? Is it almost two and a half, right? Like it's a long time ago. So things are markedly better now. So anyway, all that to say, building AI by itself is not the answer in my estimation. I think there's a lot of the sort of non-functional requirements, we used to call them. I don't know what we call them now. The things that if you don't have them, your application doesn't function, right? For example, security. That you have to care for. And so we on the Spring team, we have the Spring AI project, which I love that project so much. And then we have this incredible. I mean, you and I you let me play Vanna White. Do you know Vanna White?
No.
On Wheel of Fortune. No, not Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, right. I see.
Vanna White. What's that? I never watched. Wheel of Fortune. It is Wheel of Fortune. I got it right the first time. I shouldn't have doubted myself. Vanna White, she was the one who helped move the show along by manipulating the display for the contestants in the game show. But you let me be Vanna White to your MCP talk once, right? And so I know you're deep in the security world, and you and I've hacked plenty of times on Spring Auth server and the gateway and just the OAuth stack in general. And so I know you're deep in that world. And now we've got AI. What's
Oof.
that story look like? How do you marry these two things? How do you pair AI
Well, it looks
with
terrifying.
security?
from
What's
a
the
from
state of
a
the art these days?
from a security perspective, we're used to the slow, almost glacial pace of specs, IETF,
Yeah.
RFCs. Make a meeting, and then three years to come out with a draft, and discuss it with for 5 years, right? Polish the thing, and the AI rhythm is slightly more fast paced than
Oh,
that. I don't know if you know
every
if you
week
noticed.
there's something.
Yes, yeah, I can't
I
even
mean,
go
for
to the
example,
restroom anymore
yeah,
because they come up with a
can
new
I get a
spec.
minute, please? Could you not release a new spec? The MCP stuff. We'll talk about this in a second, but just to your point, MCP was announced in November of 2024, and Spring AI had support for it like within a few weeks of that,
Mhm, mhm.
right? That's how
Correct.
quick these turnarounds are. Brand new, whole new, net new protocols. Same thing for agent skills from Anthropic. Actually, both MCP and skills are both from Anthropic. Interesting. Anyway, agent skills came out January of this year, already in Spring AI, like
Yeah,
less than a few weeks later, and by
yeah.
early February.
And so
So yeah,
we're working on the security bit for that, because when MCP came out, it was really like run on my machine, and so your
yeah,
machine is the trusted execution environment. It's fine. Then some people said, yeah, but I want to scale this a little bit further, right? I want to host this on the web somewhere. And
right,
so the initial idea was just slap OAuth on top of it,
right.
which was directionally good. The actual the actual details were refined over two
Last year,
further iterations of the spec. Yep.
yeah.
Uh, and so we in the Spring world, we adapted that, and it's a very different story that the one from Python and say TypeScript, which
So
are pushed by the MCP folks, so folks are Anthropic, and they kind of like tend to do a self-contained client that does everything, including
yeah,
security,
so
including OAuth.
let's zoom out again. I'm sorry. When we talk about AI, we're making requests to an LLM. We get
Correct.
requests back. Is there a threat model there just for that basic interaction?
Oh, cool.
I,
Oh, yeah, 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 absolutely,
I
right?
mean, just
So,
talking to a model. I don't know if you
so
have a threat model that it's like talking to a database, right?
well,
Uh,
talking to a model, you can um, manipulate it to obtain more information than what
right.
you would want to
Prompt
give.
injection.
Right. Prompt injection, and there's a whole cluster of things you can do with that. But it doesn't do much in the world. It sends text back to you, and the text is hurtful if you read it, but it's not going to delete rows in your database, for example, right? So we have
So
more threats when we start doing things with that text, and we read the
what
text
about
and we're like, yep, do it.
yeah, exactly. So that one's really hard to figure out. How do you avoid prompt injection? Okay, so that's one threat model for AI. Uh, and I guess skills, that's another one because now you're getting potentially unknown text. I mean, really all interactions with these LLMs are in terms of human language text.
Mhm.
So that can be amazingly a threat vector. Skills, I guess that same, if there's a problem with talking to an LLM, then having a quick way to include other text via skills feels like it would have the same vulnerability. So that's kind of a hard problem to solve still. Um, so we can't solve all security for all of AI, but we
No.
have this new thing, like you said, MCP. What is MCP?
So MCP, Model Context Protocol. So you said right. These LLMs, you send text to them, they send text back. Sometimes you can do, images or videos, but they're sending bytes to you, and they're not, you know, actuating on the outside world. They can't,
Right.
change files on your machine. They can't, I don't know, make a call to a SaaS service, or store something in a database. And so what they can tell you is, they can tell you, oh, you should do this. And MCP is a standard protocol, so that you LLMs can call things, can access more resources in the world in a standardized formats, right? So the LLM say, when you're going to do an initial prompt, you can tell the LLM, oh, here's the things that you can do if you want. Here are the tools you can call. Here are the resources you can fetch. And the LLM decides, oh, yeah, you're asking about the weather and you have a weather tool. I don't know the weather, but I can ask this. I can use this tool that you passed me, right? And so they respond back with a thing that says, call this tool, right?
Yeah.
And so MCP is that protocol for actually from the AI application. So think your ChatGPT, think your Claude desktop, or your Spring AI application to actually call something on the side to do something for you, right? And so there's a client that makes those requests, and then there's a server that receives the request and does a bunch of things to fulfill what the LLM asks for. Of course, you grant permission as you go, right? You click and you say, "Yep,
Right.
allow, allow, allow." If you've used the coding assistant before, you've probably allowed this everything. Well,
Right.
possibly
Hopefully
this
that.
used MCP under the hood.
Right. Okay. So there's definitely a network boundary there, and therefore a need for security. What we want is we want to make sure that who's making the request has the right to make the request,
Correct.
first of all. And second of all, if you're an MCP tool, of which there might be many, by the way, you want to know who's making the request, because you can't usefully answer the question without an awareness of the asker, right?
Exactly.
And I think of that as a feature. Like it's like there's two things, right? One is I don't want the MCP tool to be called by people who don't have the right. But two, and that's a security thing. I think I need that. That's like a lock on my door. I need that no matter what. Doesn't matter how nice the door is. But once, like, and then in addition to that, I also want an identity. I want to know who it is. I want each person to have an identity, right?
Exactly. Right.
So
So
OAuth,
if you're filing reports and your expense reports and you're putting your
right,
expenses in I don't know, in Claude desktop, and you say file this
right.
for me, and it has
Who's
a
me?
expensify MCP server, then it can
Right.
go and file your expense reports. And how does it know it's you? This is this authentication bit you're talking about.
Yeah. And I think that gets more complicated, doesn't it, when you have like if so the promise of MCP, the thing I love about MCP is that it finally delivers on the era of SOA that we were all promised 25 plus years ago, right? But without the heartache and the headache, because what did I want? I wanted to be able to pull down arbitrary services from the web and reuse them, right? We were sold on this vision of like you can just assemble enterprise apps, just grab that component, grab this component, add it to your enterprise application, and these were web services, SOAP, and surely, just like that, you just integrate a little bit, have one thing call the other, and you're done. And then like 10 years later, they got mashups, like different web APIs that the integration point, the integration nexus was the browser, right? But both of these things failed. I mean, SOA failed because, well, first of all, calling SOAP was particularly arduous, and there's two different kinds of SOAP and you had to describe schema, and that schema for a Java program might be very different from what made sense in a .NET C# program. And you had schema, and that was painful. And the client had to know how to parse and interpret that schema. And then we moved to document literal, and now it's up to the client to be in the business of, or the server, it's in the business of like looking for elements from XML structures, and then we get into like security, and we get into messaging patterns and concurrency, and it just gets too terrible, right? With MCP, all that goes away. The security thing is the only thing that's really there. Like the AI model doesn't need you to give it a WSTL schema. I don't need a registry. I can just add them as I need them from anywhere in the web. Concurrency is described by the client, not by the in implementation, so the client can make the concurrency whatever it wants.
Exactly.
So now I just need to worry about security. It's the only thing that's left over. And also, nobody has to write XML or SOAP, right? Because we can use regular types, Java types to signal structure.
Yes. Yep.
And so this MCP stuff, I think it's sort of that dream is there finally,
Yes, but we're working on evolving that to something that fits the enterprise, as you say, right? The big
Yeah,
integration points. Because remember, it started as run this on your machine and connect your LLM to it. And so
right.
it still has a little bit of that baked in, of like, oh, there's this one process that you run and you connect to that one process. So there's a very one-to-one client to server relationship.
Yeah.
Um, so, but what about if you deploy a Spring app and you have multiple users using the same client? What does that mean in
Uh,
terms of security? How do you
or
multiplex?
yeah, and also one client using multiple random MCP services. This is what I'm trying to say is with SOA, we thought, okay, I can get this company's shopping cart and that company's fulfillment process and that company's um, whatever, invoicing, and I can assemble them. Well, of course, it only works if they all share a consistent notion of identity,
Correct.
right? These things have to be talking about a product from this user that gets sent to fulfillment for this user, same user, and then move to invoicing for the same user over there, right? Like uh, that only works if it's the same user. There's continuity
Yes.
across users. So the same problem that we had back with SOA is, I think, here again with MCP, which is if these MCP services if I'm composing these random MCP services, how do they maintain continuity of identity?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of projects that started like building proxies to try and like sit in front of your different MCP servers to add this layer. But this is just, you know, a, a, a hack until we
Yeah,
patch the core protocol to be more friendly to these bigger use cases and enterprise-like use cases.
right. So is there anything in OAuth that can help with that?
Um, that's a great question. So, I mean, OAuth is kind of made for that, right? It's like you
Yeah,
delegate your identity, your permissions to this third part or to this central authorization party, and then
yeah,
use from that. And everyone in the enterprise today does that, and everyone everywhere uses some form of OAuth or OpenID Connect to manage the identity. And then you can federate, and get your tokens from GitHub, kind of, fold it into your bigger company identity, if you will. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
So I think like right now there's if I'm an organization and I have 10 different MCP services and I have one OAuth identity IDP identity provider, this is an easy problem to solve, right? With OAuth. I
yes,
guess the issue is if these are 10 different MCP services from 10 different organizations, right? Um,
exactly. Of integration with their own identity provider. So, to use the GitHub MCP server, you need a GitHub token. And so if you don't
right.
have integration between your SSO and GitHub, then
Or
this is
mapping
where
of
the
some
cookie
sort.
crumbles for now, and we're trying to
Right.
get this to work
S-
a little better.
So, but okay, so you're saying right now at least we have a good solution for a homogeneous IDP to client use case.
Well, it's kind of homegrown for now. It's very,
Okay.
if you have multiple identities managed, then you have to create your own solution. And what's very unique with MCP is that it requires things from implementers for MCP servers, for MCP clients, which makes sense. But it also
Yeah.
requires things from implementers on the authorization server side, which does OAuth, has nothing to do with MCP. And they're pushing
Right.
new specs, which are in draft, and they require this for this to work. And so we have a proof
Like.
of concept. So, for example, there was MCP had this thing where you would go into your ChatGPT and you say, "Here's an MCP server. Here's the URL. Go." This is
Yeah.
not how OAuth usually works. Usually you register a client with OAuth. You have to go into some sort of console, you get a client ID, a client secret, which is very cumbersome for, the normal user. My dad is not going to go into his Google
Right.
console to generate client ID, client secret to connect to ChatGPT.
Right.
And
Oh, so this is
so
like developer.facebook.com when I register a new app.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly, right? And so the MCP folks said, well, we're going to leverage this OAuth spec called dynamic client registration. But nobody did dynamic client registration, or at least not like this, right? Where you just
Right.
put the URL and then your ChatGPT figures out how to register a client. And so everybody scrambled to do this. And then we realized it was kind of not the best solution for that. And
Yeah.
some people came up, were like, oh, we have this other way of doing it with client ID metadata document, where your client exposes some endpoints, and then the auth server has an allow list or has a set of rules to say which client is allowed to call me, even if I don't know them in advance. And this,
Oh,
for example, this is not supported in Spring Authorization Server for now, because
yeah.
the spec is in draft, right? It's not even
Right.
it and so the Spring security team is more conservative in what we implement, but we need this for MCP. So as Spring security members, me myself, but our good friend Joe Granja, the
Right.
OAuth guru in house,
Right.
we're implementing this in MCP security, the Spring AI community project, which is more dynamic, less
Yeah.
stable than a regular Spring project, but the ecosystem, the AI ecosystem demands that we move really fast. So we're going to be putting this in MCP security, so it works with everything. And I just saw that it was merged into Keycloak recently, so it didn't exist in Keycloak 3 months ago, and was merged,
Okay.
I think, in March. It's not even released yet.
Yeah.
And so they're moving the ecosystem forward, and we're following suit.
Good. So this stuff is it's living in the Spring AI community GitHub organization.
Correct.
The artifacts are still in Maven Central. You can still
Yes.
find them there, but they're not the officially supported Spring project,
No, but
are they?
they are in start.spring.io and Spring
Yes,
Initializer.
yes, they are. And we want you to
Well,
try them, and it's developed by the same people that work on everything else you're using, including Spring Security and Spring AI. But because of the nature of this particular space, the nexus of security and AI, both of which move very, very quickly, we're giving it room to breathe over here while things
exactly.
stabilize a little
And
bit.
and the idea would be now we're seeing that MCP has slowed down quite a bit because we had 4 specs in a year. So from November 2024 to November 2025, we got 4 different versions of the spec. And it's been 4 months now. In 4 months, we have not had a new version. So, and there's no new version planned right now. So there's a little bit of this feeling that we have a better idea of where this is going. So ultimately, once this is more stable, this community project will move into Spring AI itself, so that you don't have to integrate with like this
Uh,
external thing.
and I think Spring AI itself also moves more quickly than, say, for example, Spring Security,
Oh yes.
right? Because Spring AI right now, the AI space is like OAuth has been a known quantity basically for decades now, right? We
Correct.
we know what that looks like. The new stuff, DCR, dynamic client registration, that's new-ish, and the new metadata thing, client metadata support, that's new-ish. But 1 or 2 features every decade. It's not a huge
Exactly.
thing, right?
Yeah. Well, the
Um,
the dynamic client registration has existed for a long time. It's just that nobody
yeah.
used it.
Aha.
So
How
it
does that
had
work?
existed. Yeah.
Does a client just send, like, how does the auth server know to trust a client that it's never seen before?
So that's the big thing. The thing
You
that
send a
existed
credential?
about client registration, dynamic client registration before, was a standardized way to talk to an auth server to register clients as
Yeah.
a trusted client yourself. So you would have client credentials, a client ID, client secret, or a
Yeah.
JOT, or certificate, whatever, and then you would send normalized requests to create new clients. And this was created so that your UI management for your auth server would be the user could go and click and then add clients this way with a standardized protocol, even if you change the UI. But MCP came and said, well, you don't have this pre-registered client. So now we want open client registration. And so
That seems like a
basically,
disaster.
yeah, well, yes.
A recipe for
And
disaster.
and that's why they're moving away from it. So it was introduced in the June specification, I think, or in the
Yeah.
March specification, and it was deprecated. It's not fully deprecated, but it's a 1 paragraph in the current spec, the November 2025 one, which says for a backwards compatibility reason, you may still do this. So for 6 months, everybody scrambled to implement that,
Right.
and now it's just a paragraph,
So
because
wait,
hammering in auth server and creating hundreds of thousands of new clients is not necessarily a great idea if you haven't thought about managing those clients and being able to revoke them, audit what you have there.
oh yeah. How does a given MCP client, like, it would be nice if I could just register myself once and then reuse that.
So it can, but some
Oh,
clients
okay.
just forget about it. They forget their token, or they forget their credentials, and so when you reopen the chat window, then you it will register a new client, because it's fine. It's free. It's free from the client's perspective. It's just 2 network calls to register one new OAuth client, which
But that's, I mean, we're gonna have somebody's got to garbage collect those dead clients, and
right.
how do you know, right? Like,
Well, the thing is, we're moving away from it now because
yeah.
it brought too many issues with it.
Hmm. Well, this is always fun. It does work though. I do. I mean, it's not. We can see an obvious problem here. But I don't know how many. Like, if you can reuse a client, then you've got something there.
Well,
If
yes, and you could imagine flows where you grant, out of band permission for creating this client, so that your LLM app, your AI app redirects you somewhere. You say, yes, I want to create a client, or like consent in some way, but it's non-specified. But
right, but
we maintain in the Spring team. We are the core maintainers of the Java SDK
yeah,
for MCP, and we want to be compliant with the spec, even though our users are not necessarily using that. So it
right,
means we're spending a lot of time actually doing that. So currently, we're working on the full OAuth, dynamic client registration, all the bells and whistles. We're going to be shipping this, and then the next up is this client ID metadata document. So
right.
in the coming weeks, we'll have something that integrates with Spring AI 2.0.0 milestone 3. But
Okay.
by RC1 for Spring AI, we'll have something much more stable,
Whoa,
and hopefully we can
you heard it here,
steer.
folks.
Yeah, and hopefully we can steer users into sane defaults by using a boot paradigm of auto configuration, so you don't have to create your own beans and everything.
Yeah. Well,
And
so right now then, the DCRs, if you have a Cloud Code or a
mhm,
ChatGPT or whatever, and you want to point that thing to an MCP service so it can use it as one of its many tools,
mhm.
there you would want to use DCR, dynamic client registration.
Well,
Um,
you would ideally want to use this new thing, this client ID metadata document,
sure.
if it's supported.
Okay.
But yes,
But going
but
back to what we've got at the moment,
yes,
um,
DCR.
but if you have control of the MCP services and the client
Mhm.
in a homogeneous deployment scenario, like in a single organizational context, I can just register an actual client,
Yes.
like
And
with
which
the
makes
auth
much
server.
more sense, right? If you're a developer, you're developing a Spring AI application that you deploy on your platform
Right.
of choice. You know in advance the relationship between the auth server, the MCP servers, and
Yeah.
your client. So you can go click, obtain these client ID, client secret, store them
Right.
securely on the platform, and have the client use it. It's not the same as everyone launching an MCP client, or like
Right.
an LLM app, a cursor, or a Claude
Right.
desktop on their machine, which in that case needs to do something, right?
Every single time. So that scenario of you control the hermetic seal around
Yes.
the MCP boundary, um, that's viable, right? And that's not
Oh yeah, yeah,
wasteful
yeah.
today.
No.
So right now you can do that, and there's actually on start.spring.io, if you go there and you choose MCP client and then MCP security experimental,
Mhm.
you'll get the wiring, you'll get the beans and a lot of auto config for customizing the outbound request from the Spring AI chat client to an MCP service.
Mhm.
If you choose MCP security plus MCP service, you'll get the wiring. Well, basically, you'll just get the auto config plus you have to register the issuer. You have to tell the
Right.
MCP server OAuth 2 configuration about the issuer, which is the auth server. The
Exactly
URL,
what you would
that's easy
do
enough.
with a normal
Any
MCP or OAuth2
resource server.
server in Spring, right? OAuth2 resource server.
So then, and then on the auth server, if you're using the Spring auth server, and this is, I mean, I love the auth server. People should use the auth server, but this part is technically negotiable because as long as it supports OAuth, you can get away with it on other IDPs. There we have, if you choose Spring auth server on start.spring.io and choose MCP security experimental, you'll get the customization to enable things like DCR
Correct.
on the auth server, right?
And
so there's
the
three
other
tranches of support.
and the other DCR is more controversial, but they've pushed for other things which, since we have these crazy clients that can come from everywhere, we really want to bind the tokens we have to a specific MCP server so that if I give it to an MCP server, that MCP server can't reuse it for something else, right? And so it uses all other OAuth specs, resource indicators to say, oh, this token was made to access that specific resource server. And if someone else sees it, they should be telling no.
Right. Oh, so that's very interesting. Very interesting. So so then you said Spring AI 2.0, we might see both the metadata and the existing DCR support?
Correct.
Or will we phase out the DCR stuff?
No, we're going to leave it in because the ecosystem moves very fast. Everybody's scrambling to keep up with the pace of things. And so we will have clients that expect DCR. We will have authorization servers that don't have the client ID metadata document. So we need a way for our users to have something that works, even if it's not the latest and greatest and shiniest of all the things you can do. So we have the Spring Boot philosophy, right? We provide options, and you do what you want. We go beyond the spec. We've also seen some MCP servers in the wild that want to use API keys instead of using OAuth, because OAuth makes sense when you have humans, meat bags in the loop that want to go click buttons on web browsers. In the case of more backend stuff, API key is much more common, and sometimes you have API keys for developers as well. So we provide, even though it's not in the spec, we provide implementations for API keys both on the server and on the client, so you can have a much simpler, because OAuth it's more lift, right? You need an auth server as well. So we try and give you a little bit of all the tools you need to customize the experience with Spring so that it fits your specific.
That's a good point. Maybe I skipped. I go straight to OAuth because
well, that's the spec. That is the spec.
Well, that's
right?
If that's the one that I think. What's that old thing? Any distributed system is a half implemented implementation of Erlang, right? Like any sufficiently distributed system is a bug-riddled, is a half implemented bug-riddled implementation of Erlang or something. Any sufficiently distributed system is a whatever. There's something like that, and it's basically every time I start down the road of I'll do API keys, which is the first most obvious thing. Hey, I'll just send a header. I'll use the MCP sync customizer, and I'll encode some headers, and I'll send it to my API, and my API will take that token and validate it. Every single time I do that, as soon as you get a second service, you end up starting to rebuild OAuth.
Exactly.
So just let me tell you, just go straight to OAuth. I promise you, you're not going to get there. You're going to get there no matter what, but you're not going to get there by yourself if you just try and vibe code your way to a secure system.
Oh no!
Right.
I'm playing with a coding assistant to see how secure how can they secure a system, and they're not great at that yet.
No, just use OAuth, okay? It's smarter people than we have already thought about this for decades, okay? It's a working, viable thing. Okay, I'm really excited. So, and Spring AI 2.0 is May, I think. Let me check Don't
It is.
quote me on that. Calendar.spring.io as always. Let's see here. Spring A 2.0 on the 28th of May, right before summer. That's nice. So, and M3 just came out this week, I think, Monday,
Yes.
if I'm not
Monday.
mistaken. So, go try those bits out. Some things have changed there, I noticed. The
Yes.
MCP client sync customizer or whatever has changed. Is there going to be a Spring AI? Like you know me, I'm waiting for my next Spring AI MCP security drop.
Yes, there will be. So the only thing that's standing between you and that drop is we had our
Me talking to you
first.
right now.
Well, I guess that's another one. We got our first
No.
security advisory on or CVE report on the Java SDK, and
Cool. Well, that's cool, but
which
interesting. It's real.
interesting. It is real, but it's a very gray area of like it not yeah, it's not about the spec, it's about some security best practices that say should, not must, right? But then at the same time we can't just hand wave our way into like, yeah, well, I don't care about that, right? So
Right.
we are, I'm adding an answer to that, saying like the SDK is smart enough to provide you with the hooks to actually protect yourself against this special problem in this very special narrow case.
Right.
So this will land in MCP security, and then after that, I promise, M3 compatible MCP
Cool.
security project.
Nice. Well, my friend, this is all very, very exciting. Look, I am very, very happy I got a chance to talk with you. You're in between. You just did a whole day's work in France, and now you're about to do a meetup. And
Yes.
in between those, when you should be eating dinner or something more sensible, you're talking to me instead. So thank you.
Well,
thank you as always.
having fun.
Yeah, for me, a lot of fun, as always. Are you on the internet? Do you want to be found? And if so, where can people find you?
Yes. So I am on the internet. I am on Blue Sky. The social network I use the most is probably Blue Sky. So you can find me at Garnier, like my name, .wf. And in other parts of the internet, I have a website, garnier.wf. And you can find me on LinkedIn, the Daniel Garnier-Moiroux, that name there. There's only one of me. That's the cool thing about having a long, complicated name. If you look up Garnier-Moiroux and see a black and white photo of a dude with a mustache, that's my dad, but the photo is probably from 40 years ago or something.
Okay, let's put this in the old chat here. Okay, go. And is that you? Is that the right one?
Yes,
Did I
that's
just
me.
promote somebody else?
Correct. Yes, you'll find all the links in there, and reach out.
Okay.
The reasons I'm doing these calls, the reasons I'm doing meetups, is because I want to interact with the community. I'm always happy to hear about your crazy use cases that I never see. I work on the framework stuff, but then you take it and you make stuff with it, and I'm super happy
Right.
to learn about it.
Okay. As always, thank you for this, my friend. Thank you. Bon chance at your meetup tonight. Not
Merci.
that you need it, but or actually, you say mailed, right? Like you don't
Yes.
say
Break
you
a
don't
leg.
say good luck. Just break a leg, exactly. Okay. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Thank you, Daniel. See you all
And
next
see you
time.
very soon in France next time, right?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Next month, Devox France. I can't wait.